You ever come home after a long, brutal stretch, like real hospital time, new metal knee still aching, your whole world off kilter, thinking all you want is your old armchair and that hush that settles over the woods behind your place at sunset, and instead, bam, there's a brand new Airbnb squatting in your pasture, not 50 yards from where you scattered your wife's ashes? Yeah, that happened. I'm telling you, 6 weeks away, and some people just decide the rules don't exist. Or maybe they just think you're too broken down or too polite to fight back. But let me back up a sec, because that morning started out with the kind of peace you can't buy, the kind that's earned. But what I found parked right in the middle of my side field just about knocked that feeling straight out of my chest. Picture it, a fancy A-frame cabin, sharp lines, fresh pine scent so thick it stung my nose, some city contractor's idea of rustic luxury. It wasn't there when I left. Now it's perched like a trophy, on land that's been in my family since before half this county had electricity. I just stood there, one hand on my bad leg, running through every possible explanation that didn't end with somebody else's boot on my property. I wanted to believe I was seeing things. But no, the old fence line Martha and I strung up back in '92, still sagging a little, sure, made the boundary clear as daylight. This cabin, with its locked door and tidy gravel path, was smack in the middle of my world. I didn't even have time to wrap my head around it before the president of our HOA, Sharon Biggs, yeah, clipboard and all, came strutting across my grass, that fake smile on her lips. Isn't it lovely? A real asset to the community, she said, like she was doing me a favor. I asked her what this monstrosity was doing on my land, and she just shook her head, smug as could be. Not your land. This is common area now, community relaxation cabin, per the new easement. There's a special place in the universe for people who say, per the new easement, with a straight face. She actually shoved a photocopied land grant in my face, told me I signed off years ago, some blurry mess that looked nothing like my signature. You must be confused, Tom, she said. If there's one thing I know, it's my own property lines. I spent 40 years working blueprints, stringing power lines, knowing which pole belonged to who. There was never an easement. There sure as hell was no community cabin written into my deed. But Sharon just turned on her heel and marched off. Sure she'd won. It'd be funny if it wasn't my life. I stomped inside, pulled out the thick folder of deeds and maps Martha, and I kept safe all these years, unrolled the survey myself, line by line. No HOA common area anywhere. Saturday came, and my daughter Rachel, postal inspector, sharp as a tack, took one look at the cabin and just about lost it. Dad, that's a forgery. The signature is traced. Sloppy too. Then my son David, IRS investigator, circled the place, running numbers in his head. HOA doesn't have this kind of money. This is a $60,000 build. Last was Chris, FBI cyber crimes. Doesn't say much, but when he does, you pay attention. They didn't just build a cabin, Dad. They built a paper trail. This is federal fraud. Suddenly, it wasn't just my fight. That's when the real game started, my family, everyone thinking we're just regular folks, when in reality, she'd just declared war on the wrong crowd. We didn't scream or throw threats. We started collecting. Emails, notices, fake votes, even the phony fines Sharon sent me, all dated before I even made it home. David flagged it as intent to defraud. Rachel started logging everything. Chris dug through digital records. It was like watching a bunch of bloodhounds work. And then, right on cue, Sharon called in her authorities. The sheriff showed up. She tried to put on a show, claimed I was trespassing on my own porch, hissed at me. You're just one old man, Tom. We're going to build you right out of this neighborhood. I just let my phone's camera do the talking. That night, Rachel dug up the Airbnb listing. There it was, my land, my view, listed at $440 a night, all cozy woodland escape. Suddenly, the rage went from hot to cold. This wasn't about community. It was about profit. The next phase? We dug in. David found the shell company taking the rental money, owned by Sharon's cousin, of course. Chris found the altered plat map filed with the county, signed not by me, but by Sharon's vice president, pretending to be me. All pure, grade A felonies. Meanwhile, I had my old friend Jerry, a surveyor, mark out the real boundary for everyone to see. I documented every stake, every inch. I installed floodlights, security cams, made sure everything was recorded, because evidence is king, you know what I mean? And right when you think it can't get crazier, I found a listening device tucked under my porch light. They weren't just stealing land, they were eavesdropping. That was it. No more sitting around. I went down to the county clerk, got certified copies of everything, made side-by-side slideshows, time lapses, you name it. My kids packed up the evidence, looped in the right people, and then it was just a matter of setting the fuse. Early one Saturday, I fired up my old backhoe, planted a huge sign, illegal structure scheduled for removal, and started the slow, careful work of taking that cabin apart, piece by piece. Sharon came running out in her pajamas, screaming, waving her phone, threatening 911. I ignored her, just focused on the bolts, the wood, keeping my movements methodical. She kept screeching. The sheriffs rolled in, hand on their weapons. And then, this is the best part, Chris rolled up, flashed his badge, and turned the whole thing federal, right in front of the neighbors. The moment the FBI cuffed Sharon was silent, almost surreal. Neighbors in bathrobes, deputies frozen. The HOA president hauled off like any common crook. Her vice president cracked, confessed everything. In less than an hour, the entire board resigned. The fake liens and fines vanished, and the illegal Airbnb was yanked offline. Sharon's house went up for sale, her little empire crumbled, and I stood there in the middle of my reclaimed field, feeling the kind of satisfaction you don't get from winning, but from being right all along. The fallout was a thing to behold. Neighbors apologizing, county records updated, the shell company shut down, new protocols installed to prevent this sort of scam again. My kids' evidence got passed around as a training case for how to spot HOA fraud, and I got to watch as the whole community, for the first time in years, started acting like, well, neighbors instead of suspects. One day, George from across the way came over, hat in hand. Sharon had told everyone I'd sold her that strip of land. He believed it, until he saw the truth on the front page of the local paper. Water under the bridge. I told him, and I meant it. I didn't want revenge. I wanted my life back. And you know, we got there. We had a cookout on the fresh grass where that cabin once stood, the kids all home, the sunset clear where Sharon's builders had cut down that old, ugly pine tree I'd always hated anyway. Rachel made her potato salad, David manned the grill, Chris just laughed at all of us. And for the first time in a long time, the quiet felt good again, earned, peaceful mine. But you better believe, every now and then I catch myself running over the details, thinking about all the folks who don't have an FBI agent for a son or a postal inspector for a daughter. That's why I put together a simple little guide, how to beat HOA fraud with 5 documents and a flip phone. Left stacks of them at the VFW, Senior Center, and hardware store. No glory, no big signature. Just a roadmap for anyone who might face a bully with a clipboard and a knack for fake paperwork. Because what I learned, and what I hope everyone else does too, is that justice isn't loud. It's patient. It's thorough. It's a deed, a timestamp, a camera rolling when someone thinks they're getting away with it. You don't have to be mean, just right. You don't need revenge, just receipts. And the strongest fence in the world is the truth, plain and simple. So here's my question for you. Where's the line between community and control? Who really wins when the loudest voice in the room thinks the rules don't apply to them? Let me know in the comments. Was I right to fight back like I did, or did it go too far? Does the system protect honest folks, or is it just a game for whoever plays dirtiest? Go on, share your story, because I guarantee I'm not the only one out here drawing the line.